So this we're going to sketch by hand. This is a quadratic graph in I guess general form here. It's not in turning point form. So what we need to do when we sketch any graph, we need to have a list of features that we're going to do. So I'm going to do the first one. So our list of features include the shape, the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, and the turning point. So the first thing I suggest to you is the shape. Why? Because it's easy. You can see that this is y equals positive x squared minus 5x plus 4. What does that mean? It means that the shape is going to be a smile because it's positive. So it's going to be like that. We already know it's a positive graph, so we can tick that. Done. The next one that I would do would be the y-intercept, because the y-intercept is very easy as well. So step 2, the y-intercept, that's where x equals 0. So in this case, y equals 0 squared minus 5 times 0 plus 4. And you can see that it's super easy. You wouldn't even need to do that. You could just immediately see that the y-intercept is going to be 4, because when you sub 0 in, it cancels out the x's. So this working out is superfluous. You don't need to show all that. X is 0, y is 4. That is our y-intercept. May as well put the shape here as well. Now I'll go for the x-intercepts. That is the third easiest thing. Now look, we've got 2 things. You would get 2 out of 4 marks. That's better than 0 out of 4 marks. Some people get 0, and look how easy it is to get those first 2 things. So the x-intercepts, that's where y equals 0. So let's see. We have x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals y, so equals 0. Now, I'll tell you how people are going to get this wrong. People are going to minus 4 on both sides and get x squared minus 5x equals negative 4. Then they're going to take an x out and do like this. And this is wrong. This is completely wrong. Factorizing, it's the null factor law, the 0 factor law. You factor to 0. You cannot do this. And every year, a good portion of the year level will do that. So don't do that. It equals 0. So now you need to choose what sort of factorizing you will use. We've talked about whether it's 2 or 3 terms. And in our case, we've got 3 terms. So this is going to be cross-factorization. So x times x equals x squared, and 4 times 1 equals 4, but that wouldn't add to negative 5. So negative 4 times negative 1, that will give you positive 4, but when you cross multiply x times negative 4, negative 4x, and x times negative 1, negative 1x, or negative x, I like to put the negative 1 because you can see it's going to be negative 5, it equals negative 5x. We can give that a tick, and then we can say, well, in our brackets are going to be these things here. So it's going to be x minus 4, and x minus 1 equals 0. This does equal 0. Earlier today we were talking about how if it doesn't equal 0, you can't solve it. You can only factorize. But this we are solving. The whole idea is we're solving for the x-intercepts. So we need to solve. So this means x minus 4 equals 0, and it means x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 on both sides, x equals 1, and add 4 on both sides, x equals 4. So our x-intercepts in the correct form would be 4, 0, these are coordinates, and 1, 0. So now I've got the x-intercept. I'm going to put that on my list there and tick off the x-intercepts. So let's see, 4, 0 and 1, 0. Okay, turning point. Now there's different ways of doing the turning point. You could complete the square, but I think you'd be wasting your time. That would be too much work. The best and easiest way, I think, to find the turning point is to know, well, let's write turning point, is to know that the turning point x value is always in the middle of the 2 x values, or the 2 x-intercept, of the 2 x-intercepts. So our x-intercepts at 4 and 1. So to find the middle value is the average. So it's 4 plus 1 divided by 2, 5 over 2. You don't want to make a mixed number. No, you don't want to make you don't want to make a mixed number, and you don't want to make a decimal. Leave it as it is, 5/2. So the x value of the turning point is 5/2. Now at this stage, we can draw most of the graph. So this is pretty easy so far. There's no new things, nothing difficult. We've got x-intercept. I should put my axis a little bit nicer. X-intercept at 1 and 4. Make sure you use coordinates. A turning point where the x value is 5/2. A y-intercept, what was it, at 4. And the shape of a smile. So at this point, I've got 3.5 out of 4 marks. What I know is that the x value is 5/2. To find the corresponding y value, well, obviously we would substitute the x value into the equation to find that y value. So let's see what the equation is. X squared minus 5x plus 4. So y equals x squared minus 5x plus 4. So we just sub it in, and we can say, well, given that x equals 5/2, we're going to have y equals 5/2 squared minus 5 times 5/2 plus 4. It's a bit nasty because it's got fractions, but it doesn't matter. 5 squared is 25, 2 squared is 4. Negative 5 times 5, so this is negative 5/1. 5 times 5 is 25, and 1 times 2 is 2, plus 4/1. I'm putting it over 1 because then I can make a common denominator. Of course, when we add or subtract fractions, we need a common denominator, and it seems like 4 is a good idea. 2 times 2 equals 4, so 25 times 2 equals 50. 1 times 4 is 4, so 4 times 4 is 16. And now we can say the y value, 25 minus 50 is negative 25. Negative 25 plus 16 is what? Negative 9, so negative 9/4. So our y value, which, let's make it this colour. I can pop it in now as negative 9/4. So this is the complete graph. The marks you get will be for those 4 things that I have listed at the start: the shape, the x-intercepts, the y-intercept, and the turning point. So if you do 3 of them, you get 3 marks. You do 2 of them, you get 2 marks. It's very easy to get the shape and the y-intercept. So draw that, and even if you can't find the x-intercept or you can't find the turning point, you've got some marks. Okay, let's do one more of those, and then we will do one on CAS. I might just delete that so we've got a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm going to do example E here. So this is y equals 2x squared minus x minus 1. And, well, I'm going to make my little list. Shape, y-intercept, x-intercepts, and turning point. And I always do that because then I don't leave anything out. So sort it out and write it down because it helps. Now let's see, shape. There's no negative in front of the 2x squared. It's positive. So the shape immediately I know is going to be a smile. So that's done. Didn't need to do anything for that. I just know it's a smiley shape. Step 2, I'm going to do the y-intercept. And that's where x equals 0. Notice how I'll always write it as x equals 0, because then even if I stuff it up, I'm showing understanding of what a y-intercept is. I don't need to do anything with this because I can see that if I put a 0 into the x values, those other 2 terms are going to, or the first 2 terms are going to cancel out. I'm left with negative 1. So when x is 0, y is negative 1. So I've got the y-intercept without doing really anything. X-intercepts a little bit harder, so we will do those. Third. Again, I've got a quadratic trinomial. So whatever sort of quadratic you have, if it's 2 terms or 3 terms, you're factorizing it. You're either using difference of perfect squares, or you're using, take a common factor out, or you're doing cross factorization. There's other methods, obviously, quadratic formula, but for now let's just worry about those 3 methods that I've just said. So I'm going to say 2x times x is 2x squared, and negative 1 times 1 would give me negative 1. Let's see, 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x, x times 1 is plus 1x, that equals negative 1x, and what we see there, negative 1x is the middle term, so that's negative 1x there, and that's what we need to do when we cross factorize, get to the middle term. In our brackets, of course, is this way, so horizontally. If you get it wrong like that, you're going to the wrong x-intercepts, so it must be horizontal, and that's why cross-factorization method is so much better than any other method. There's lots of methods to do this. I know some are quicker than my method, but they are not as foolproof. So it equals 0 because y has to equal 0 for x-intercepts. So now, of course, we can solve with zero factor law, as I call it, or null factor law, as the textbook calls it. Null means 0, so we solve. We minus 1 on both sides, 2x equals neg 1, x equals, we're dividing by 2, negative half, and x equals 1, add 1 on both sides. So our x-intercepts at 1 and negative half. So I'm just going to go over here and pop that on our list. Oops. Okay, so 1 and neg half. And then finally, the turning point, it's not in turning point form, so we can't just read the turning point. The turning point is hard when it's not in turning point form. So my fourth step, the turning point, I know the x is in the middle, or the x value of the turning point is the middle of the x-intercepts. And middle means average, so we say negative half plus 1 divided by 2, and let's see, that's going to be negative half plus 2 over 2 divided by 2. So I'm using this as a division now, otherwise I have a double vinculum. That's not convenient. Negative half plus 2 over 2, so negative 1 plus 2 is 1, so half divided by 2 is 2 over 1. And of course we keep, change, flip, keep, change, flip, and that's going to be 1/4. So the x value of my turning point is at 1/4. And at this point, especially because I have a fraction, I would draw it, because even if you can't find or don't have time to find the y values, you've got almost everything you need. So let's say we've got this x values at 1 and negative half. And then we've got the turning point x value. Well, let's draw the smile because we know it's going to be a smile. The y-intercept, what was that? Negative 1, so it's a bit, it's not to scale, that'll do. So 0, neg 1, and then here I know that the x value is 1/4. I just need to find the y value. So the y value of the turning point, well, I know that x is a quarter. So y value of turning point, we just substitute the x value in. Y equals, what was the equation? 2x squared minus x minus 1. Okay. X squared minus x minus 1. Okay. So that equals 2. 1/4 squared is 1 over 16, minus 1/4 minus, let's say that's 1 over 1, equals 2 times 1, 16, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 16ths, minus 1/4, minus 1 over 1. I'm going to simplify that to 1 over 8, minus common denominator of 8. Just easy year 7 maths. 4 times 2 is 8, so 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 8 is 8, so 1 times 8 is also 8. So now 1 minus 2 is -1. -1 minus 8 is -9. So it's -9/8. So we can see, just as we expect from our picture, the y value will be negative. So I have taken that. I've gotten that by subbing in the x value. Okay, so now we have the complete graph. We have shown the x-intercepts, so we would get the mark for the x-intercepts. Yes, we have the y-intercept, we get the mark for the y-intercept, and we have the turning point, so we get the mark for the turning point as well. So this is our complete graph with showing all important features. I might highlight the y-intercept here, and our middle turning point value, let's put that in green, so you can see where each value is coming from. Okay, so that is our sketching without CAS. I'm not going to do the CAS sketching. I'm not going to do the CAS sketching now. I'm going to go and do the discriminant analysis, so that you can see how that works. Now I'm not sure what's going on here.